This video will demonstrate how to properly install a 3-prong power cord on a Kenmore 80 dryer. Safety first, so always unplug any electrical appliance before servicing it. Now this dryer already has a 4-prong power cord on it, so we have to remove it before we can install the new 3-prong power cord. The first thing I'm going to do is remove the 2 screws that are on the strain relief clamp. These use a Phillips head screwdriver. The strain relief clamp is necessary to prevent nicks and cuts on the power cable at the power cable opening from machine vibrations during use. Also, it prevents the power cable wire at the terminal blocks from being pulled on if someone were to pull or put strain on the power cord. The next step is to remove the 1/4-inch screw that holds the terminal block cover plate in place, and that'll give us access to all the terminal wires from the power cord. I'm going to go ahead and take the 2 parts of the strain relief clamp and save them for future use. Now that those are removed and put away, I'm going to go ahead and use my 1/4-inch nut driver, and the first screw I'm removing is the grounding wire, and that's a wire that comes off the harness from the power cable on the 4-prong. I'm going to save this screw to use it for the grounding wire for the machine here in a minute. The 3 terminal block screws are also 1/4 inch on this machine, and I'm removing them. Normally that grounding screw will be 5/16 on most Kenmores, but this one happened to be 1/4 inch. You can also use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove those, but probably would be kind of tight, so using a nut driver would be the easiest to do. Now that that power cable is removed and out of the way, just pull it through the hole and set it aside. Before we can install our 3-prong power cord, the grounding wire from inside the machine that was on the neutral or center of the terminal block is now loose. So I'm going to take that loose end and I'm going to go ahead and use that grounding screw that we first took off the body, and that gets mounted in that position where the grounding wire off the old 4-prong was. This is what grounds the body of the machine and keeps you from getting shocked if there happens to be a short somewhere. So it's very important that this is installed in place on the body. Next, I'm going to feed the 3-prong power cord wires through the opening and position them so that they're where I need to install them at. The center goes in the middle on the terminal block. The center wire from the wire harness is your neutral wire. It'll say neutral on it if you look closely, and it must go on the middle or center terminal block mount. I'm using the Phillips head screwdriver to start these screws, and then I'll tighten them in a minute. But you want to make sure that however you remove or install these screws, that you're always very, very careful with not to drop them, because if you drop them inside the machine, you'll then have to remove the back off the machine to get down there and find where the screw went so you can use it. So once all 3 of these have gone onto the terminal block holding the wires in place, I can then use my nut driver, or in this case I'm using a power tool, and I'm setting my power tool at 6 foot-pounds per square inch. You don't need much to tighten these. If you over tighten them, you can cause them to cross thread and they won't tighten all the way down, and you can make it very difficult to remove them. Here's the way it looks finally installed. The only thing left now is to reinstall the cover plate. Take the tab, insert it into the slot, swing it closed, then using the screw just put it through the hole there, and again it's 1/4 inch, so just tighten it up with my power tool. And now we're ready to move on to installing the strain relief clamp. And like I said before, it's a very necessary thing to have, so use your new one that came with your new power cord, or if there was an old one there, you can use it. The half that has the small holes in it goes on the bottom, and then the other half with the larger holes mounts on the top. Just feed the little spade or tongue ends into the machine and then clamp it in place. Now I'm using a pair of channel lock pliers to hold the 2 pieces together tightly so that the holes will all line up. So when I put the screws in using my Phillips head screwdriver, they're easier to get started. Once you start one side, go ahead and get the other screw and start the other side. If you tighten one down all the way, it'll be very difficult to start the other side, so tighten it a little bit and then go back and forth. And again, I'm using channel locks to clamp it together to make it easier to keep everything aligned. Once you've got them all tightened, the installation is complete.